What is the best workout split? Is there a best workout split? Let's talk about it. All right, what's up everybody? Quick little intro here. My name is Chase Mansman. I have been a personal trainer for 14 years here, but I have been obsessed with essentially everything fitness since summer of 2007 is when I got into this. And since then, I have been just completely obsessed. I honestly think I've probably consumed more fitness content than almost anyone on the internet. And why am I explaining this? To show that I know a thing or two, I've been around the block, and most importantly, I fucking care. And I know there's so much information out there on the internet that I want to use my, pseudo nerding out in all of the information gathering that I have done within these last however many years to make this a little bit more digestible for you, because there is a lot of BS out there. There's a lot of different narratives. There's a lot of people trying to sell you something like that, when in reality, I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just trying to clear up some confusion and hit you with some good bullet points and good practical takeaways so you can start implementing this essentially today. So quick little intro, let's get into it. All right, so before we fully get into this, I always want to touch on this. There is no universally perfect workout split. And before you click off, let me kind of explain. And this is something I see on the internet time and time again that really bugs me. And we throw around this term optimal so much. Like, again, there's this universal optimal. And if you want to look at the definition of optimal, it will be different from person to person. What is optimal for me in my life, and being a 33-year-old that doesn't have any kids, that has a good amount of time and resources to put towards my fitness goals, is not going to be the same as a whatever CEO that has 4 children and is managing blah, 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 blah. So I always have to start with that. There is no universal optimal best for each individual, but today we will kind of break down some of the variables and factors that will help kind of fine tune this to make it optimal for you. Okay, so if I am working with a new client, or if someone just asks me, my opinion on splits, where they think I want to kind of steer this towards, I'm first gonna ask some questions, because there is these different kind of, I put here, considerations that will help where I want to kind of mold in where I feel like is going to be the best for each individual. And this is very important. And this is, again, why we can't have a universal best training split for everyone, okay? So these are kind of the main considerations that I'm thinking about. So first one, I put time, practical, and limitations. So what I mean by this is, how much time do you have available throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month to be able to train? So let's just say we have this lab formatted best optimal program that's 7 days a week. If you can't commit 7 days, then it's not optimal for you. So it's irrelevant at that point in time, all right? So we have to work around what is realistic and practical, and that might slide throughout the year as well. But first thing I ask is, what can we commit to today? Not next month, not next year, not whatever from now. What can we do today? If it's 2 days a week, it's 2 days a week. If it's 3 days a week, it's 3 days a week. But we need to get that dialed in, because again, if they say it's only 1 day a week, am I gonna do a push day? Probably not. It's probably going to be a full body. So that is gonna be the biggest one, is time. And then this all kind of builds off of time. Again, what is practical, all right? And then any type of scheduling or whatever limitations that this client or person has, that will decide, how many days or whatever they can get in throughout the week. Number 2, sustainability / adherence. So this is another one again. And this is why I tell people, a lot of people get very, overzealous when they first start some sort of workout routine. And I get it. We're super duper motivated. We want to strike while the iron's hot and everything. And what ends up happening is they overcommit. So let's do 9 days a week or whatever. And then adherence is not good. And then they start falling off. They get behind. They feel like a failure. They get discouraged. They're mentally kind of fucked up, and then they fall off. So for me, I want to stack as many wins as possible. So if someone's on the fence between 2 and 3 days, I might say, let's do 2. Let's get perfect adherence, stack those wins so psychologically you feel good, and then let's add in a third day, or maybe we'll stagger it, 2, 3, 2, 3, something like that. But we always have to remember the psychology behind all this as well too. And that's always gonna be the first thing that has us feel encouraged or discouraged or fall off or whatever. So I need to make sure that they are feeling like they are winning along this kind of journey we call fitness. So yeah, sustainability, adherence, big ones there. Don't bite off more than you can chew in the beginning. Let's stack those wins. Let's have perfect adherence. Then let's add in some days. And then 3, this is another big one that people don't talk about, and that's preference. It's preference, it's preference, it's preference. If you just hate full body and you gave it an honest try and you're like, I just don't like doing it. It's hard for me to figure out, like, I don't want to spend 4 hours in the gym. Do I do leg extensions one day and leg curls one day? Like, how do I do this? Then that's not for you, okay? This is another thing, and I think our head is like, well, if we find that's optimal, even if I don't enjoy it, if it's not my preference, the results will be so good that it'll motivate me and then I'll fall in love with it. Again, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point in time. This journey, again, of health, fitness, whether it's trying to accrue muscle or lose weight or gain some sort of fitness conditioning, it takes a long time, dude. I mean, years, decades, or whatever. You're not gonna be able to struggle through this, and you need to build in this kind of delayed gratification because it does take time. So if you, again, give an honest try to, let's just say, full body, and you don't enjoy it after a month or two, I don't know if it's gonna be the right move for you. And no, I don't think the results are gonna overshadow your motivation or lack there or whatever, and be like, oh my God, I love this. So always, preference matters, okay? So that is another thing that I'll talk about. And then even with my clients, like, we'll play around with it. We'll do some full bodies, we'll do upper lowers, we'll do push-pull legs. We'll kind of look at the data points, we'll do these audits and see how they're progressing. But then I'm also doing mental, again, psychological audits of how do you like it? How are you feeling when you leave the gym? How are you feeling the next day when you come in the gym? Are you like, yes, we're doing a good job? Or you're like, I fucking hate this, blah, 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 blah. So preference really, really does matter. And then the last one, and I did like purposely put it in this order, is kind of goals, because I think all this overshadows. And kind of circling back to what I just said, I think a lot of people are like, well, this way is going to get to my goal faster, so therefore I'm going to do it. But they're not taking these into consideration, which they should weigh heavier than their goals, in my opinion. Because again, if you don't have adherence, if this is not practical for you, if you don't have the time, you will not get to your goal. You will not get to your goal. It's irrelevant at that point, okay? So yes, then goals, so then we'll kind of break down goals and timelines of goals and stuff like that. And knowing all of these considerations, all of these different variables will very, very much help me choose how we want to start this in the programming. And then also, again, last thing I want to insert here, we're not married to anything. And this is what I really tell my in-person clients, we're gonna try shit, dude. And we're not always gonna love what we try. It won't always be like a great success or whatever, but it's okay because I'm also not married to anything. Meaning I'm not the full body workout guy, the upper lower guy. I'm not that. I'm whatever my client needs in the moment, in the week, in the month, in the year, whatever. So we're constantly pivoting. And I tell my clients that, we'll try stuff. We might do a workout that you're like, I did not like that. Or maybe a full week of workouts that you didn't like. Sick, dude. That's why we pivot. That's why we have these levers and these knobs. Like I was telling one of my clients, it's like we're fine tuning like a radio station, but the problem is this radio station changes. It's not always 104.7. So sometimes it's 104.7, it might be 104.7 for a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, a month. And then the next day, and you got to kind of fine tune. And this is normal. So I always want people to be like, don't get discouraged if it doesn't always go fully to plan. Like that's going to happen so much. So again, just to summarize here, the considerations: time, is it practical? Any kind of scheduling limitations or any limitations? Sustainable and adherence. We need to make sure it's sustainable. We need to make sure we're adhering or we're never going to progress there. So that really, really matters. Preference. Preference always matters. What's engaging, what's enjoyable for you. And then lastly is, your specific goals, okay? Next up, let's get into where I like to start and what my recommendations are. All right, so let's start with, I'm breaking this down, going back to that time commitment, because that's always number one that we need to know. How many days per week can you commit to? And I do put a lot of emphasis on commit, because again, And again, there's no perfect, and this is where it's so hard. It's like, there's so much gray area, and this is almost always psychology, okay? So there is no kind of perfect way, but I do emphasize commit, because I do think, at least for me and what I've seen in the 13 years I've been coaching, is we want to stack as many wins as possible. When people start missing sessions and stuff, they start feeling a bit more discouraged. They start feeling like they're wasting time or wasting money or whatever. So I want to get and keep adherence as close to 100% as possible, which is why I generally start with, again, what can you fully commit to? And there's even some nuance within there. Are you working with a trainer? Are you paying for someone? Blah, 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 accountability, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, let's keep it at that. So I broke it down to 1 to 2 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, 3 to 4 times a week, and then I'll go to 4+ from there. So almost always, if we're going 1 to 2 times a week, I generally will always recommend either a full body or upper lower. And then again, we go back to those kind of considerations of what do they enjoy, or maybe you do a training block of 4 to 8 weeks of 2 full bodies, and then you try an upper lower, you know. The biggest thing is I want to make sure that we're essentially hitting the full body at least once per week. Now, there'll be some people that are like, well, no, you need to hit it twice a week. I think a lot of it kind of flushes out, because yes, if you do full body twice a week, you are hitting the full body twice a week, but it's kind of, because you're not doing every single exercise that if you were to do an upper lower, because obviously that takes 2 hours, you know? So that's why I think it ends up being fairly relative. And also, I don't think there's gonna be a giant difference in results between if you do 2 full body sessions, say you do 1 posterior, 1 anterior, or you do 1 upper, full lower. The differences in gains and strength and all this stuff is going to be minuscule. So that's why I go back to the preference. Do what you or the client or whatever likes the most. If they very, very much like upper lower, we'll probably do that. I'm gonna be honest there. So yes, we will do something like that. If it's upper lower, that's easy. One day you have upper body session, one day you have a lower body session. And you might emphasize this, and this is where you get some nuances of programming, to where maybe you have an A and B. So meaning week 1, you do your A's, week 2, you do your B's. Because if it's only one a week, it is hard to hit everything, you know? Yes, you can kind of do that. But again, it becomes difficult. So maybe you have an A focus for the lower body that's a little bit more anterior, a B focus posterior, and you can do the same thing with upper body. Same type of deal with the full body splits. It kind of is preference on that one. I don't think there's a perfect answer. Again, going back to preference and then, well, I guess I didn't touch on this, but showing up, giving effort, those are always going to overshadow any type of programming nuance as well too, when compared to something that you don't enjoy as much, if that makes sense. All right, I'm going to lose track here. So let's get back on track. 2 to 3 times a week. I'm almost always, again, it's going to be full or some type of upper lower or a combo, okay? No wrong or right. Try it. Try Monday, Wednesday, Friday, full bodies, okay? Try upper lowers. And let's just say if you're someone that wants to have a little bit more emphasis on upper body, maybe do upper, lower, upper. And vice versa, if you're someone that wants to emphasize a little bit more lower body, you can go lower, upper, lower. You can also stagger them. 1 week lower, upper, next week upper, lower, upper, okay? Or you can do some sort of combo. So one of my clients right now, David, we've been training for about 7 months. He's doing awesome. He's almost down 35 pounds well, actually that's scale weight. He's definitely recomp because we put on a ton of fucking strength as well too, killing it. Anyway, we are doing a combo. So I have 1 day a week, that's a full body. This one's a little bit more like metabolically involved. This is where we play around with different exposures, different exercises, combo exercise, et cetera, et cetera. We might do some sort of metabolic conditioning as well too. And then we go into an upper and lower where it's much more focused on very high stability exercises that are really trying to emphasize and bias hypertrophy and strength. So we'll usually we'll either start or finish the week with full body, then we have a rest day, and then it'll be upper, and then it'll be lower body. So that is another thing that you can kind of play around with, and then you might have a little slightly different goals depending on the day. But yes, that is generally where I'll go. Now let's go into 3 to 4 days a week. And this is generally going to be pretty similar here, but we have a few more options. Could be fulls, it could be upper lowers, it could be a combo of full and upper lower like I was just explaining, or it could be a push-pull leg combo, okay? So just like I was telling you with my client where we do full body then upper lower, You can do a full body rest day and go through push-pull legs. That is an option. You can do upper, lower, push-pull if you wanted more of a upper body emphasis. You can do upper, lower, full body, upper. There's a lot of different ways that you can play around. Generally, for me, if I'm doing 4, that's what I'm doing right now, upper lowers. That's just what I like. And again, there's slight emphasis on those different days. So for example, upper body A, my primary might be some sort of horizontal pushing exercise. Upper body B, maybe my emphasis is more of a vertical pulling exercise. So that's how I'm doing. So upper body A, I'm starting with a horizontal press and a bench press. Upper body B, I'm starting with a loaded pull-up, okay? And how you would, and again, this is going into nuances of programming that if any of you are interested in that, I can break that down. That's how we determine exercise order and how we're gonna do that. So we're just getting more and more into the weeds here that we won't do for this video, or it'll be 9,000 hours. But yes, I personally would prefer upper lower, but you can mess around with some sort of push-pull legs, full body, upper lower. All of those are good configurations. And again, I always want to reiterate, and I do get frustrated with this on the internet, you're not married to anything. We can always change. Throughout a year, you're going to go through so many training days, training weeks, training blocks, training months, So try it out, man. Try it out. Don't be afraid to experiment. But I also understand, like, because I'm someone that wants to research my answer, like I don't trust myself. I'm like, there's smarter people out there. I need to research. Someone has to tell me what's the best. So I get it. If you are that person, I totally understand. And that's why I want to help you with some framework to at least kind of get you on the dartboard. But I promise you, you're never just going to research your way to a full bullseye, because there's too much nuance and too many variables here per individual, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, to make this perfect. So have fun. Do a training block, a 4, 6, 8-week training block of upper lowers. Try full body. Try push-pull legs. See what you like psychologically, and then also see, I'm hoping you have doing some sort of audits and metrics of your progressions, and see what you're progressing with as well too. And maybe you'll find one that meets in the middle. So meaning like maybe the best progressions you weren't a huge fan of, and there's something that wasn't quite as good, but you enjoyed it a lot more. I would always steer you in that direction over the one, even if it has better progress, but you didn't like it as much. The one that's slightly less optimal, but you enjoy more, you're always gonna win, guaranteed. So there's up to 4 days a week. Now I'll get into 5, 6, and potentially 7. All right, so I was a little bit lazy with this one, and it's gonna be a little bit boring because they're all very similar. After you're getting above like 4 to 5 days a week, it's generally similar recommendations, at least from this guy here. Although I'll talk about some nuance into like a body part, more bro split, that again, I'm still cool with you trying. So 4 to 5 days a week, again, I'm probably gonna mainly stick with upper lowers or upper lowers, push-pull legs, or some sort of combo. So I was doing a 5-day workout program up until a couple months ago, probably about up until 5 weeks ago, because I'm doing more running, which I'm not adding in any cardio. I can do around 2 if you want to know how I add in conditioning days as well too. But I was doing 5 days a week where I'd go Monday upper, Tuesday lower, Wednesday off, Thursday push, Friday pull, Saturday legs. And I actually really like that. I think for 5 days a week, that is probably gonna be my favorite. And I think actually Jeff Nipper did something very similar, which is just kind of funny. So yes, that's what I would do. I'd probably do upper, lower, or some sort of combo of push-pull legs. You can also, if you're like, fuck legs, I guess you could go push-pull legs, day off, push-pull. So then again, you're hitting the upper body twice a week, the lower body once a week. That's fine. Again, there's no hard rules here, all right? If you only want to do legs once a week, you're not gonna die if you don't, okay? That's fine. They might not be as developed as upper body, but again, you're not gonna get arrested, you're not gonna die, like that's fine. 5 to 6, again, similar recommendations there. I'd probably start then, if you're going up to 6, which I don't think is fully necessary, but when I first got into this, dude, I wanted to be at the gym. I loved being at the gym. It was the highlight of my day. I legitimately got excited. I wish it was like that still, but I've been working out since 2007. It's unfortunately not the same. I'm an old man that's gotten beaten up. But when I was doing 6 days a week, I was doing push-pull legs, all right? You can run into some fatigue issues after you accumulate enough sessions. But But again, I did that for years and felt fine. So you can do some sort of push-pull leg, day off, push-pull leg, day off, something like that. And then 7, I probably wouldn't go fully 7. You want some rest and recovery days, but I still would probably work off push-pull legs. And then I'll just add in, again, with 5, 6, 7, you can look at body part splits too. The bro type splits, and I know the Science and Optimal crew are gonna say it's not the best, but remember going back to what I first said, if you enjoy it, if it's practical for you, if you love being in the gym, there's no fucking problem with that, man. If you wanna do a chest and tricep day, back and bicep day, leg day, shoulders and arms, or whatever configuration from your favorite bodybuilder, try it. Again, if you like it, if you feel like the results are there, then I think all the other things, throw out the fucking window, close off all the noise and stuff. Obviously take into consideration how you're feeling, how the gains are, if you're getting injured or something like that, burnt out, blah, 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 accumulating more fatigue or whatever it is. But if you enjoy it, then fucking go for it. Go for it. All right, so I'm gonna leave it at that. I think I broke down enough days, and as you can see, I can just ramble on forever. But yeah, let me know what everyone kind of thinks below. Thank you for your time. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any other questions in terms of workout splits, programming, anything fitness, health, weight loss, nutrition, supplementation, hit me up because I want to do more long and short format videos. And if you're interested in coaching and talking about your fitness goals, your health goals, your weight loss goals, I have all my coaching information down below. And I love this shit. So even if you're like on the fence or don't want to sign up, hit me up, man. Let's talk about your goals and kind of see where it goes. But that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for tuning in.